Thanks for sticking around during the ads. Please feel free to click on the icons shown to be taken to areas where you can help us. All links will be below for mobile and other users.
Hello everybody, my name is Craig Bennett and I'm the founder and owner of TechViews Help, and today I am going to show you how to do a better layout within Android. This Android tutorial is going to cover layouts, layout design specifically for tablets versus phones versus other things. I'm not going to get very specific on things because we could spend all day. I'm just going to try to do some highlights here and there, and I might cover it a little bit more deeper in some other videos. And feel free to leave comments below on which parts that you want to go a little bit deeper in. But anyways, as far as things goes, we are making a beekeeping tool application, and this application, we don't know if the user is going to use it on a phone, on a tablet, or what. And we gotta assume that it could be on both. So we need to make sure it looks good on both a phone and a tablet. How do you do that? Well, let's go through that first. So on Android Studio, within the text, all you have to do is go to preview and you can see that, or just go to design. It doesn't really matter which. And select the this and go down and select the resolution. So right now we're in a small phone. If we go to a tablet, that's pretty much how it should look. And we can actually flip the orientation from there. So if we want to make sure everything looks well, we can do that. And that's pretty useful. We can also do the emulators too, but this is more of a quick method where we can change things live. So as you see here, this looks not that bad, and why is that? As far as that from what it was, it's because one of the things I fixed is this. So let's go and put this back to. In fact, let's go and make this full fill. Or match, and as you see here, that looks pretty bad. That looks terrible. So that's a horrible layout as far as that goes, but let's put it back to a phone. And here you wouldn't really be able to tell too much of a difference. In fact, that's probably the reason why I did it. It's because I was originally meant for a phone. Whereas here, if I just did a wrap, it looks like some of the text is trying to come out. In fact, this one needs to be fixed too. And that's a bad thing. So what we need to do is we need to tell it how wide to make it. And not playing around, I found it was that. So let's do it with this one, since that has to be fixed too. Is simply, well, let's do in 50s or hundreds. I'm just going to do in hundreds. So that's too small. That's slightly too big. So let's now do in 50s. That's too small. Let's do in 25s. Oh. That's close. It's a little bit too much. And yeah, let's go back to 5. And now that's pretty good to me. So that's pretty important in itself. So now we got a good layout. It doesn't look like the text is coming off the button itself. It looks like it's within the buttons, looks like it's proper and everything. And this is very important when it comes to many things, as far as if you're making a very professional application, you want the text to be in the proper areas. I've seen in a couple websites and applications where it looks like the text is coming off. It's hard to figure out what's a button, what isn't a button, and a few other things, and that's a very bad thing. And that's why knowing the layout, what you're going to use it for, what's its potential purpose, because we can lock this down to only phones. But if we don't care and it's going to be either on phones or tablets, and it can go either way, then we need to test it on both. Does it look good on both, or does it only look good on one? If it only looks good on one and it's too much work to go to the other one, maybe you need to figure out why it's too much work. And if it is still too much work after you figured out why, you might want to just either make a separate application altogether for tablets, which happens, by the way, especially with keyboards and things of that nature, or you might want to just go ahead and mark it only for phones. So with that in mind, let's do another layout trick. So we don't want to use these texts for whatever reason. You got a boss, they don't want these texts, and obviously you can't have your buttons like this because it looks like crap. It's all merged and it looks like one giant button. That's bad. Now you can go to the top button or the bottom button. It doesn't really matter for this one, but let's just pick the main menu button. And what you want to do is put in Android layout margin, and if you're on obviously on the bottom, then you want to put top. If you're on the top one, you want to put bottom, and then put out how far apart do you want these buttons to be. So something like try 15, which probably is right, and there you go. So instead of having that text view in between, let's say it's giving problems encoding for whatever reason, which it really shouldn't, given the fact that it doesn't have an ID, it doesn't really have anything besides it's just being there. That let's just say it was, or we got a boss that doesn't like that. That's a quick way to fix it, and that's really the proper way to fix it, by the way. So if you're in school, you might want to keep that one in mind too. But personally, I like the text view because I'm lazy and all I have to do is take the word out, and I don't even have to care about the ID as long as you know, everything else is good. I really can be super lazy, right? Like right here, I gotta focus, is it on top, if it's on bottom, I gotta play a game where, is this too far, is it not far enough, play that game. But there is areas where this is actually useful. So let's get into that real quick. And on this one, on the previous video that I showed yesterday, this is the image buttons that we're playing with. So with the image buttons, we have a margin, and let's take out the margin just for kicks. And as you see here, it is bad. Yes, we could put a text, but it doesn't separate it enough for me. Keep in mind, it's only like 15 or so, and that's not enough. It looks bad, even on a mobile or on a phone. So what we need to do is put in a margin, tell it how much, and go from there. Now, when you're putting in these margins, one thing I would advise is do round numbers and then narrow it down from there. So like before, start with hundreds, start with 50s, either one, and then move whatever is recorded, so that way you can narrow it down. And that's a good example. So let's go to the tablet and see if we can take out the margin within this one. And as you see here, it's right button up against that. And if I wanted to, say I got a boss or whatever that wants me to move that to the middle, which by the way, I'll show you this in a second. it's buttoned up right against to it, and we don't like that. It doesn't look uniform. It looks pretty bad. So let's put in that margin back in there. And there you go, a little bit of space. And then on top of that, when you're on tablets and stuff, it utilizes the space. It doesn't look all cramped and everything. So now let's get into the centers, the gravity. Like before in one of my previous videos, you can go to the layout itself and just go to gravity and do that. It's fine. But what happens if you just want one or two or certain items to do whatever? So say for example, if I want this to, I don't know, do something like I want it on the let's actually go into it real quick. Say I want this text to be on the right side, and then this one on the left side, and make sure it stays on the left side, because who knows, some Joblo can come up and say, oh, I mess up the code and behind you. But that's how you do it. So you can actually set the gravity per each item on where it will show on the layout itself. Now the one thing to keep in mind is if you want the layout to be unified, so for example I want everything to be centered, like for example with this one, then what I would do is just do an entire gravity with the layout itself and mark that centered or whatever I want, and there you go. So that's the one thing to keep in mind. I think that's about it. So I'm just going to show you 2 or 3 more tips. For those of you who missed it, how do you get this bar to separate things to make the layout look better? Well, and just so you know what it will look like with that taken out. I mean, that's pretty bad. Pretty sure your own say it looks bad. Put it back. Burns your eyes. So what you want to do is, and this is just my tip, there's a few ways to do it, but what you want to do is put in a small text within there, or just put in a text. It doesn't really matter if it's small text or not. And you want to make the height whatever size you want. I personally do 8, and then make the width full, and then just change the background and make sure the text isn't there, but change the background, and there you go. In fact, I can just remove that and these 2 to save a little bit of space, and there you go. So that's the best way I found to do it. It's easy. It's not hard. It's everybody knows what it is. And what does it look like when you're actually using it? So let's go back, and as you see here, we had the margin here, and we're obviously on a scroll view. So when you're doing your thing, it scrolls past it, and this stays the same. This separates the area, and basically this area you have your pictures and stuff. And if you wanted to just add a little bit extra flavor into there, if you wanted to, you can actually change the background of the area by doing Android background, and try to find the background here. That's why I put in that, because it'll be highlighted. Set that. And as if you wanted to just phone around. And obviously you want to edit the text and stuff like that. So yeah. You obviously want to make sure that this area is filled out, so just make sure that the height on the scroll view is whatever that needs to be, and make sure that everything's great. But beyond that, that's pretty much about it. Now, if you do have any questions or anything, then go ahead and leave them down there in the comment section. And it looks like this is frozen or something. But go ahead and leave them in the comment section, and feel free to tell me what you want the next video to be on, and I'll see what I can do. Now, if you don't like this for whatever reason, go ahead and leave a dislike and tell me why, so I can fix it in future videos. But again, this has been Craig Bennett, founder and owner of TechViews Nope, and I hope you have a great day. Again, this stuff is going to be in GitHub, so you can pretty much see it there.